I'm reading an interesting story about an author who attends a party that's hosted by a billionaire. Now, this author is Joseph Heller, who wrote a book called Catch-22 that was very successful. So he goes to this billionaire's party with his friend, and as they're at this party having a drink, his friend turns to Joseph and says, "How does it feel knowing that this billionaire just yesterday made more money than Catch-22 has made in its history?" And Joe kindly said, "It doesn't matter to me much at all because I've got something that billionaire will never have." Puzzled, his friend says, "What could you have that he doesn't have? I can't think of anything that you could possibly have that he doesn't." And Joe said, "I have the knowledge that I have enough." Now, I'm fascinated by the story because this is more profound than it seems on the surface. It highlights the idea that what seems like it's ingrained in us is to always pursue more. We set some goal, we go get that goal, we make $100,000 or something. But then we don't get happy, so then we have to try to make 200,000 or 300,000, or we have to save until we get $500,000 and then a million and then 5 million and then 10 million. We'll be rich as soon as we get there. We'll be happy as soon as we get here becomes the norm. So we always tend to get ourselves into this constant pursuit of more stuff. The Joseph Hellers of the world, they're happier than us. They know what kind of life they'd be happy to live. Their understanding of what they need gives them the ability to look back on their lives with pride without having to get stuck in this rat race of always looking for more. Find out more right after this. Hey, it's Derek Hagan. I'm a financial therapist here with another Money Health presentation where we're going to talk about our obsession with stuff. So stuff. By stuff, I'm talking about things. I'm talking about actual things that we buy for our house. But I'm actually talking more about cars and houses and the neighborhood we choose to live in and the clothes we choose to wear and the toys that we choose to buy. All this stuff. What I'm trying to say is, here's the joy that we think we're going to feel. And here's how much stuff we have. And the quality of the stuff we have comes up and we think it's going to give us a heck of a lot of joy. But what we actually feel, it doesn't make us feel very good at all. And this line drops because there's this kind of paradox that as soon as I save up $1 million, I'm finally going to be happy. Or as soon as I get that house on the cul-de-sac, or as soon as I move from this apartment into this house, I'm going to finally be happy. And then when we don't feel that happiness when we get there, or when that happiness is fleeting, that detracts from our joy. And over time, we start to think, well, man, none of these goals I'm hitting is really bringing me any joy. Right? So it actually feels down here. Now, this space in between there, I'm calling that the disappointment zone. We don't want to be in that disappointment zone. So we set our expectations too high. We focus on stuff. We get the stuff. And we don't get happy when we get there. Now the point is we have this obsession with stuff. We're just obsessed with buying stuff. And we put in all this effort to get more. And then we finally get there. We finally get to the top and we think to ourselves, oh, is this it? Is this really all there is? And the answer is not really, because we can zoom out this chart and see that, oh, look there, we can keep going. We can keep putting more effort in to keep getting more and more stuff. But we realize that that's not going to make us happy. And it's helpful to think in terms of a couple of different ways that we tend to spend. Now, it's helpful to think about why you spend. To do this, I want to define a couple of terms. The first is conspicuous spending. Conspicuous just simply means noticeable. So are you spending in a way that's visible to others? That doesn't necessarily mean that you are intentionally buying things so that other people will notice, although that is a side effect and that's what feeds this desire. But if I need a car and so I go buy a car, that's technically conspicuous spending because you're going to notice that I bought a car. Where that gets us in trouble is when I buy cars because I want status. When I buy more expensive cars because I know you're going to notice it, and then it gives me some kind of a boost in social standing, right? That's conspicuous spending. Now, inconspicuous spending, this is spending on things that you don't know, that you don't notice. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean I'm hiding anything. So if I go to the grocery store and I buy some dinner, I cook some dinner at home, my favorite meal, and I cooked it perfectly, nobody sees that. Unless, of course, I post it to social media. But people don't actually see that. So the kinds of spending that bring happiness are things that you don't see. Paying to save time, paying on experiences. Those are the things that bring happiness. Inconspicuous spending. Conspicuous spending is spending for status purposes. And that's not going to bring any happiness. So get clear about why you're spending your money and be honest with yourself. Because remember that chart earlier, there was that person on there and that kept on going. I want you to be like Joe and define how much is enough. Because once you know how much is enough, it gives you confidence to not have to pursue more, to not have to keep running this race, this rat race. How much is enough? What kind of lifestyle do you want? If you make more money, do you feel the urge to spend it and increase your lifestyle? If so, why? Were you feeling deprived before? Now you have enough money to finally get to where you wanted to be? Maybe. But more likely, you fall into this trap of chasing for more and you never have enough. Because once you define enough, remember this effort, you can stop the effort. As soon as you get to here, you can stop the effort because you now have enough. Now you have all this extra effort that you can spend on things that will bring you happiness and peace and joy. This isn't a perfect representation because this is saying that the first effort is going to build up to enough and then you can spend money and happiness. It's not actually like that, but the idea is the same. You don't have to spend all your effort trying to get more. You can stop when you know you have enough, and that gives you some effort, some time, some energy that you can use on things that will actually bring you happiness, actually give you a life that's worth living. And everybody has different values, so everybody's going to have a different answer to this, but what brings happiness? It's going to be dependent on your values, but there's a couple of things we know for sure. Stuff doesn't bring happiness. Time and experiences are ways that you can bring happiness. And let's think about why. There's kind of three components of any kind of purchase in terms of your happiness, how much it adds to or takes away from your happiness. Now, there's the anticipation of the experience of the purchase, the time leading up to it. There's the purchase or the experience itself, and then there's the memory that you have of it afterwards. With experiences and stuff, you get a similar anticipation. I'm anticipating buying that new car. I'm anticipating getting a new TV. I'm anticipating getting a new house on a lake in the mountains. That's fine. I anticipate going on a vacation. I anticipate going bungee jumping. I anticipate going on a walking tour. So those are going to be similar. There's going to be similar anticipation. Now, in terms of the actual experience itself, with stuff, the experience is the purchase, the buying of it. More often than not, it's going to be fleeting. You swipe your card, you get the TV. It might be actual detractor because you have to sign a bunch of papers if it's a mortgage, a closing on a house and a mortgage. But most of the time, you're not going to get much of an experience from this stuff buying. There might be a little bit of joy because other people can see you buying it, some kind of conspicuous spending situation. With experiences, those are actually an experience. Rafting down this river, going on that hike, going to that comedy show, seeing that poetry reading, reading that book down by the lake, going to the movies. Those experiences are not simply just to swipe your card and go. So far, though, you might argue that they're similar, but it's the memory that really matters. Now, with experiences, you get to look back and you get to remember all those good experiences, and it gets even better because there's something called euphoric recall, which just simply means you will remember things in a better light. If it was this good, you're going to remember it as that good. Even bad things, you're going to remember. If you remember it, you might forget the bad things. But to the extent you remember the good things, you're going to look back and joke, hey, do you remember how we could never decide on where to go for dinner that time? Those memories get better over time. Now, with stuff, you don't get a memory. Matter of fact, you have to look at it. I have to look at my old car. Now my car is 1 year old. Now it's 2 years old, 3 years old, 5 years old. It's 10 years old. It's falling apart. Neighbors are getting new ones. The house that I bought in the cul-de-sac, I got used to it. I'm not happy anymore. You don't get a memory of stuff. So experiences are far better. Now, in terms of buying time, there's an old saying that everybody gets the same amount of time. Now, that is true, but how you spend your time matters. Now, you can spend your time doing things that you really don't enjoy, or you can spend your time doing things that will bring you happiness. So what are those things you don't enjoy? That's a good use of your money. You can use your money to buy time. If I don't enjoy raking my leaves, I can pay somebody to make my leaves, and I can read a book or go for a run instead, or both. There's a lot of leaves here. So buying time and experiences will bring you happiness. Stuff will not bring you happiness. Spend some time to think about what you want out of life. Try to figure out why you're spending. Are you spending because you think you're supposed to, because the Joneses are? Because you think that you have to keep buying more stuff? Or are you on that hedonic treadmill? Try to break that spell. Try to be more intentional with your spending. What can you do today to break the spell from pursuing stuff? How confident are you that the lifestyle you have is the lifestyle that you want? You only have one life. You might as well live intentionally.